This is a video I've been saying I wanted to do for a long time. Now I'm finally getting around to it. This is my first TV. It's a Sears, manufactured July 1990. I did do a video on this about 12, maybe 13 years ago, where I had one just like it. I got out of a recycling place where it was funny, the picture tube had the QVC logo burned into the screen. Like that's what it was displaying all the time. That one did work. It had very high hours on it though. And when it got humid in the garage, the flyback started arcing internally. So it was just good for parts at that point. I just got some things out of it. But that said, it's not technically my first TV, and it's a very confusing story, but I'll just explain it. Back in 1987, my mother at work won through a raffle a TV. You know, it was a hospital TV. I guess there was leftover stock or whatever. She worked in a hospital, okay? Well, so they won this Zenith commercial hotel hospital TV, but it worked just fine for home use. And before I go any further, no, I don't have it. I'll get into it, but I do have one almost like it. I'll insert a picture here. This was, I bought this off AeroFox. Thank you so much. And it also has a service manual too. I actually have to work on it though. There's something iffy on the tuner. Like it keeps going out of tune. But that leads up to a couple of things. Now, the unique thing about that Zenith was it had a backlit orange LCD display for your time and tuner display. It had an FM tuner. The difference between the one I have now and the one I had back then was this one has AM as well. And I think mine may have been a little bit older because mine didn't have a tinted picture tube. At least I'm 95% certain on that. That was my first TV. And so yeah, we won it in near Christmas of '87, but I didn't get to use it until we moved in September 1989. And yeah, I remember the first days if it had a 9-volt remote control. I still have to get the remote for the one I got now. And that one, yeah, so I remember when see that at the time then I had the only cable ready set in the house. And my parents did not want to get a converter box or anything. And VCRs at the time were, and that leads to another story I'll have to do in another video. My Sony Super Beta SL100 in the other room is the same one I've had back then, and that one only had a 14-channel memory, so, and all the channels we watched were in the low band, like 2 through 13. That's all I ever got programmed into it. We also, so when I got that beta, you got the closet open, ignore that, but that's a Sony Super Beta SL330. My parents bought that in 1988 so they could give me the SL100. Yes, we used beta that late. They still made consumer beta machines for North America market up until 1993. Let's get back. Now that is the same one from back then, but it needs repair. There's something really wonky with that one. Back to this over here. So I had the only cable ready TV in the house. I figured out on my own how to get it into cable TV mode, and I remember New Channels was the cable system in the area, and it was channel 26 was Nickelodeon. What was on every night at 7 p.m. but Inspector Gadget. For some reason, I haven't seen it since like the early mid-80s, and I got hooked on that. Every night I'd be watching that, or I have vague images in my mind of like the Pink Panther show, stuff on TNT going on, but it was wonderful. And then I got my Nintendo Entertainment System, which is also in the other room, all original. And I remember it was after Christmas of December of '89. I remember I got the Guardian Legend RC program and all that. And we finally originally my NES was hooked to our 1982 Sears console TV, which I'll insert a picture here. It's not I don't have any photographs of it myself, but I can show you what it looked like in the catalog of old Varactor diode tuning style ultrasonic remote TV. Which is another point I'll bring up. I am on a quest to obtain that exact TV again. So if anybody has any leads on one, let me know. In the meantime, I'm discontinuing my search, eBay, Craigslist, etc. Willing to travel a couple 100 miles for this to get it, because it's worth it to me. Yeah, I had to turn the fan on. With me yakking away in here, it got warm all of a sudden. But it was shortly after that Christmas, because I do remember playing the Guardian Legend on that TV. One time, we either had a power surge or something, like the power went out. When it came back on, that Zenith was dead. And because of the way my parents are, it did not get repaired, it got thrown out. Which means it was a TV with only maybe 6 months of use on it, and it was gone. I loved that TV. Even though it was during the System 3 era, I loved that TV. Especially considering what it was, I mean, I kind of got it back. It's almost the same TV, but it's not the same because it's not mine originally. So after that, they went to Sears, but it wasn't this TV yet. They bought a Toshiba Sears 20-inch, and that one did not have AV inputs, but it did have like a cyan and magenta on-screen display and a front-firing speaker, and it worked fine. Up until a month or two later, it was a lemon, okay? It would just randomly shut off, and it would not turn back on. And it did other weird things. So we took it to Sears to have it repaired a total, under warranty, maybe 3 times before we said that's enough. I don't know the story on this one, if this was just credited, like Sears let us just get this one in its place for a little bit of money. I don't know. This is back when these TVs were around $300 still. $289.99. I was close. And oddly, this is the first time since owning this TV I bothered to look it up in the Sears catalog. It was the fall 1990 catalog. It says LXI. There's no branding on this set anywhere. The little sticker on the back just says Sears, but that's the only giveaway. And even more odd, I used to have the instruction manual to this up until the mid-90s, and it didn't say LXI either. It just said Sears. Now, that said, another thing I find interesting, it says it has 1.5 watts per audio channel output. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. They would indicate that, especially on a monorail set. I would say since this was made July 1990, I think I got it August. It was right before school started. I got this TV. And the thing about this is I do remember they had clear film on this. You peeled off where it said remote and around here. I do remember peeling it off because when I got that part set, that film was still on there. I always thought this TV was odd because it is a monorail set, and monorail sets at that time, it has a speaker there, but it also has a speaker there. Yeah, it's a mono set with 2 side-firing speakers. And there is a stereo version of this set, which I also remember my dad telling me about. He said, yeah, there was a stereo version, but it was like $100 more. No, it was more like $50, $60 more to get the stereo set. But one thing you'll notice on the left panel where it says, on mine says remote control, there's 2 little marks there And I think those are LEDs to indicate stereo and SAP programming. And I know when I had this TV apart, I saw little cutouts in the molding for that. And here it is with all the other sets on that page. It's number 2. Notice how it is a 181 channel tuner, while the majority of these other sets were, well, some were 147 channel tuner, 178, 125. Also interesting, it lists the horizontal resolution, the bandwidth. Most of them were 260, which is what this one is. In fact, you'll get to see it in the TV's demonstration mode. Just a couple. That Zenith 20-inch has pretty good bandwidth, I would say there. 425 horizontal lines on AV input. And even there, you see on the stereo set lists 1.5 watts per channel. Now, look how it also says 1 set in, 2 out, 1 in, 1 out for AV input and output on that. I can see in the back cover the moldings for where those would go. If you're facing the back of the TV, it's on the far right. On mine, it's just a blank panel. But yeah, and there's the actual retail price of $349.82. $60 more just to get the stereo version. So yeah, I remember this TV because it was right before Tailspin premiered, and that's when I became hooked on that. And this is the original remote. I always took good care of everything. I was always fascinated by it saying channel touch and fancy cursive font, but a little dusty. I gotta dust it off. It is Novus. It's nice and clean. But yeah, this is the original remote, and I've seen a few other things that use this similar plastic shell on the remote, for Sanyo, but it says made in Malaysia. For those of you who don't know, though, this was actually came out of the old Warwick plant. The circuit board was imported from Japan. The picture tube and cabinet were made here. Okay, so that's the story of how I ended up with this as I say technically my third, but I count it as my first due to the time frame it all happened in. I was 8 years old when we got this TV. And for reference, I'm 40 now. It does have a power LED. If I can show that, yeah. Digital control. That auto add, delete, and TV AV. And normal cable TV and demo. Yes, this has a demo mode. It's one of those TVs where if it loses power, all your tuner settings go away. It has to scan each time you turn the TV on. Now this was also my first VHS VCR. Yes, it is an Orion Emerson. But there's a story behind this. Remember I said about us using beta? Well, come 1991, it was like around August 1991, we got this VCR here from Service Merchandise. It was on clearance because it's a 1990 model. But I will give it credit. These older Orion VCRs aren't that bad, really. It's once you cross the part where I know they started making the mid-drive machines, and that's when things started getting cheap. But it has a big power, it has a linear power supply, and it has a bit of weight to it. Has a nice VFD. The on-screen display, on-screen programming is weird on this one. I'll show that. But it is a 4-head double azimuth machine. Of course, by then it would be HQ. But this does not have a 181 channel tuner. This has a 110 channel tuner. So cable TV channels 2 through 36 and 95 through 99. So at the time, new channels didn't have, I don't even think they had channels beyond the 30s anyways. So this VCR became the tuner for the 1982 Sears console TV. What was the first VHS tape we bought? It was actually a Christmas present for me that came early because they bought the VCR. This was a big deal around in 1990 through 91. So we got that. This was our first VHS tape. Now that said, come 1992, the parents bought a 32-inch Panasonic upright console TV with picture-in-picture, and the old 1982 Sears, which I asked if I could have, obviously got told no, and it went to my one grandmother, and in 1993 it died. Now, by died, it's probably a power supply, horizontal output transistor, or the flyback. I don't know. I'm going to assume it was probably the horizontal output transistor that did this. But, you know how people are during a time, oh, it blew a tube, or the tubes died, or whatever. No, that thing still had a very nice, bright, sharp picture, even after 10 years of use, going on 11 years. For Christmas of that year, they bought, and because this was an Emerson, they bought the Emerson VCS990, which is a hi-fi stereo VCR. And that one was made in 91, but we got it in 92. So you probably never served merchandise clearance model, which is fine. Come Christmas in 92, these two got paired together. Let's turn it on. It always had a distinct sound when it turned on and when it turned off. There he goes. AV 551. See, it still has the older style on-screen display. It looks rather Atari-like. This is before Sanyo updated their thing, their on-screen display. Now, this is right before the era of the biscuit TV. If you don't want to know what a biscuit TV is, that's when it stopped looking like a TV that's square into something round and bubbly looking. That term was coined by Emerson Colley, and we'll refer to those as biscuit TVs from now on. One of the features of this TV, it does have a 15-minute timeout if it doesn't receive any signal. So, but put it back on here. There's the tuner. The C stands for cable TV, if you're familiar with the Sanyo set. And the thing is, like I said, if the power's been interrupted, I didn't preset the tuner, but watch this. Then it has to go through and scan. We have to wait for it. But while we're waiting for it, I find out an oddity. Most TVs would start off on channel 1 or channel 2 upon their default state. This TV started off on 3. This Emerson Orion starts off on channel 3 too. And it's on cable TV mode. Well, it says right there, cable TV. It's weird. I like it. I prefer it that way, but it's weird. This is not a TV I collect. Outside, the only reason why it's special to me is because it's been with me all my life. I mean, it still has some leftover elements from the 80s, especially in how the wood grain on the side, and it's still squared off. But that aside, it's not a bad TV, but the main circuit board, it's just the jungle I see. There's really not much to it. The standard generic flyback for it. The cabinet itself is rather flimsy when the back's not on. It's nothing special. It's just special to me in that. So like, most of the TVs I collect are like up to the mid 80s and earlier. And that's for a different reason. They were built differently. This TV here is built pretty much the same as a TV built right before they quit making CRTs. There's really not much difference other than the on-screen display is older looking. That's all. But yeah, it's like I said, it's not a bad TV. And these CRTs Sanyo used, or whoever the supplier was, because Sanyo stuff actually got built in that same plant here too. These were good CRTs. 10 years of honest use on it, and the red and green guns test almost 100%. The blue gun was like halfway in the good range. First, the way I have it hooked up, I have the Insignia DTV converter box ran through the Emerson VCR964, so I got to turn it on, and then it'll come through line level all the way. Yeah, it imitates digital control. One button color, that terminology never changed. Function, you got your color, tint, contrast, brightness, sharpness, and color. That's what it looks like on antenna. That's what it looks like on cable. And then now we'll go back to line level AV input and hit it on demo. Key features: quartz tuning, remote control, cable compatible, off timer, auto shut off, that's that 15-minute shut off I mentioned. Off timer is your sleep timer. Auto programming, one button color, and AV input jacks. And 260 lines, horizontal resolution, high contrast tube. And what they mean by area screen display, sharpness adjustment. And what they mean by 260 horizontal lines, that's the bandwidth of, not vertical. Vertical never changed. Vertical was always 480i equivalent. It's really 525 lines, both. If you were to convert it to a digital value, it's roughly 480 lines. And if you ran video games, NES, whatever, with that so-called double strike method, that was 240 lines equivalent. That's what that means. I see people do that wrong all the time, like, I'm gonna imitate VHS. VHS still had 525 lines vertical. It's the horizontal resolution, which is also like your sharpness of it. VHS HQ was around 250, 260 lines, depending on the machine. Regular VHS was 230 lines. And Super Beta was close to 300 lines, which is, broadcast TV was 300 to 330 lines. So that kind of goes to show you this TV can only display up to 260 lines. So pretty much the quality of what HQ was. But being such a small screen, it doesn't really matter. It just looks good. It looks sharp as is. But yeah, that's what that means. That's your little lesson today. Now back in AV mode. Now, the sound quality on this is a little tinny, but it's not bad because it sounds clear, unlike that GE Thompson I had.
Game on. Level Select CBD is the brand athletes count on to stay in the game. If you're looking to keep active, there's no better choice than...
And mute looks like that. Your sleep timer is also weird. You press timer, but you press the 0 key to set it. I don't know why. It goes up to 120 minutes, but I don't know why you just don't keep pressing timer to activate your sleep timer on it. This was before the mandate of closed captioning decoder. Yep, a lot of things here. But this TV was around when I first saw The Simpsons for the first time. It was the episode with the RV Homer bought. That was the first episode I ever watched. It was on this very TV. I first watched Tailspin on this very TV. I had my Super Nintendo on this very TV, very first. But see, this still gets a pretty good picture. And so now let's move on to the VCR. Now, like I said, there's really nothing bad about this particular era of Orion chassis except for the mode switch. The mode switch always gets dirty. It didn't get dirty on this until probably a few years ago. Then I had to clean it. But that's what meant the demise of the VCS 990 my parents had, because when we moved it started acting up and I didn't have time to know what it was. But it's just the dirty mode switch, that's all. But dirty mode switches can affect any VCR really, but these just seem to be particularly prone to it. But that aside, extended play picture quality is kind of meh, Standard play, though, is pretty good. Has very good linear audio on this. Take a look, see inside. And you see it's just your typical Orion mechanism. So, the VCR does have new belts in it, but everything else is original. Yeah, it's kind of odd they put the cable TV switch in the front. It does have slow tracking and regular tracking. Where's the detent at? I was watching a tape in there the other day. There we go. And there's your controls in the back. It does have line level in, but it's not selectable. As soon as you plug something in, it switches to line input. Have line output going through this little Radio Shack converter, or Radio Shack switch box. I have on the double-sided tape to the side of the bracket. I'll get into why that's there in a minute. But it also has separate twin lead UHF inputs and outputs for if you used it on antenna, which I can't seem to show too well, but it's the same type of connector you'd see on a late 80s boombox with detachable speakers, if you know what I mean. Let's see other oddities. Not oddities, but let's see. This is the original antenna. Right here. That came with the TV. With its original bowline. So that is proper. This came with the TV. The VCR, I am missing. Again, there was this weird things during this time. But I am missing the owner's manual, but oddly I have this moisture condensation sheet printed in Thailand because it's an Orion. Emerson Radio Corp accessory order form. Let's see what all you could get. Like, why would you send away for batteries when you can go to the store and get it? CD cleaning system. Whoa, you fan. Blow it away on me. What's on the back here? A VCR dust cover. Buy a blank tape for, that's not a good deal. At least, I don't know if that was a good deal in 1991 or so. And you can buy the antennas too. Mail check or money order. And it came with this. I inspected this closely. I thought this may have been a Mitsubishi Hi-Fi one, but no, if you pay close attention to the VFD, it's actually an Orion. But some of their early Emerson, when they started branding their own VCRs, some of the early ones were Mitsubishi's, like around 1986. There we go, 1990 for that. This is the original remote. And Orion did weird things, okay? Their remotes had a ton of buttons, and some, like, they got worse with newer models that really aren't necessary. Oh yeah, it's funny. See how the channel up and down buttons kind of have like little wear marks right there? That wasn't from me. That was during the time of 1991 through 92 when we used this as the cable TV tuner. But yeah, see, clock counter, memory reset, speed, program. It's pretty straightforward. And it does have VHS index search system. That's what I wanted to mention. It does leave the tape fully loaded, but this does not have a linear time counter. Let's see, pause still, slow motion, 2 buttons for timer record, program confirm. So yeah, let's just say, oddly the remote's made in Singapore. This takes 2 AAAs. Now that said, on-screen display on these Orions was just weird. I don't know why they did this, but I'll hit program confirm, okay. So it was a 4-event, 4-week timer system. But that said, this is the only on-screen display to program your timers. If you want to set the clock, I mean, you gotta use the remote, hit clock set, and adjust it using the VFD. So you have to either see it across the room or get closer to it to set the clock. So these Orion did some weird things. Like, their TVs are weird. I mean, their TVs have auto-kind bias, and that's on a budget TV. That's usually on higher end, like stuff like Sony's and Panasonic's and stuff like that, you know. But also, their TVs were weird because in order to tune any normal channel, you had to press 0, then the channel number. Instead of pressing whatever channel you want, then you would get to 100, you press plus 100. Kind of like that right there. Back when I bought this 12, 13 years ago, this is the Studio Sound Electronics VCR repair kit for Orion VCRs. This was the belt kit. Those are the old belts. But in the belt kit, it came with a pinch roller and a mode switch. You don't need to replace the mode switch. Just take it apart, clean it with some alcohol, put a little bit of contact cleaner on it, and you're good to go. This is the same tape I've had all these years. I remember it felt so odd because beta tapes were so small, much smaller in comparison. But here we go. Okay, and it still plays the same as it did when I first got it. That's what happens when you properly store and take care of your tapes. I never really had any problem, and I played these a lot. Yeah, I remember that. See, let me try this. Okay, I turned the contrast down so it won't overload the camera.
Who have made American Airlines something special in the air.
Oh yeah.
What makes you cool is your attitude, your inner self. It's not the way your hair is cut. It's not the clothes you wear. Not the clothes. It's not what you drink. You got that right. You got Pepsi for me? Who knew?
Corporate branding. I don't fall for that. I don't fall for peer pressure. Screw all that. I guess that should be good enough. It won't get a copyright. Oh yeah, it starts off. Yeah, you know this tune. Hear this, you know you're watching Home Alone. But yep, that's it. My first VHS tape. Let's see. This actually does pretty good special effects. That's 7x. So on extended play, it was 9x and 27x, I believe, for search. And that's where things got weird. Okay, being that this was my first VHS tape and our first Emerson, our first VHS VCR, Home Alone used Emerson. Remember the Emerson TV VCR combo in the kitchen, and the Emerson TV and VCR in the bedroom. Wait, the one in the bedroom was from the second Home Alone, but remember the JVC TV in the living room? They had an Emerson VCR on that. That was just so weird seeing that at the time. I thought it was such a big deal. But yeah. Now, out of curiosity, I'm going to go look for those scenes now. But real quick, well, actually, no, I can demonstrate that then. But here, here's what rewind search looks like. And the other thing I find odd about Emerson or Orion VCRs is when You hit stop, you do all this stuff followed by a solenoid click. Don't know, but it actually has an actual solenoid in there. It wasn't cheapened out yet. There, tape counter. See, listen to how the mechanism works. Frowned upon. There, see the Emerson VCR there. It like immediately went into play, didn't even load the tape. The TV's a JVC.
Who is it?
In fact, now I can show the special effects. I guess I'll back up to it. I didn't even think to do that. Now, granted, I didn't adjust the tracking, but there you go. That's tracking in the center. Emerson on screen. Man, that may have been a 1989 model, maybe? I don't know. I just remember seeing that and being fascinated with that. And there's your little pause symbol on there. And, oh yeah, slow motion. Let's hit that. This does not have variable speed slow motion. It's just one speed. Actually, wait, I'm in. So that's slow motion there, but there's no action going on, so I can't. Let me get a better scene. There, it's starting to pan a little bit. Yeah, non-variable speed. It's just one set speed for that. And it was an actual tape because I saw a bit of tracking noise at the bottom for a split second.
Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
Sports. They figure Michael Jordan right there, because they made a big deal about it. This was Michael Jordan's boombox in his dorm room. Future video coming soon. Sports.
Who is it?
It's Little Nero, sir. I have your pizza?
Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
Okay. Well, what about the money?
What money?
Well, you have to pay for your pizza, sir.
That fact. How much do I owe you?
That'll be $11.80, sir.
There's
Keep
the
the change, you
Emerson
filthy animal.
TV VCR combo. I noticed that too.
Cheapskate.
Hey, I'm gonna give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no good keister off my property before I pump your guts full of lead. 1, 2, 10.
Turn it down just in case. I don't want no copyright police. But I want to know what amplifier you had it was hooked to, because all they showed was the TV VCR combo, probably like an 89 model, I would assume, and 2.2 Orion, 2.2 Omni. But they didn't show the, they got the speakers, they didn't show an amplifier. So, fake! You can kind of see the TV's on-screen display. This is that TV, December 23rd, 1993. If you don't know about the PXL 2000 video camera, look it up. Google it, wiki it, whatever. But I'll do a complete, there's the on-screen display there. Ha ha ha. But yeah, that's that TV playing way back in 1993. And I have two PXL 2000s, both with boxes and both model types, the deluxe and regular. But that said, I just wanted to show you, hey, there's the on-screen display of this TV, but it gets better.
December 23rd. I was watching Animaniacs. I don't know why, but I felt like it. And I got my favorite.
That lamp is this lamp right here. Purchases service merchandise. Panasonic reel to reel. The same ones that are over there. True story. And I still have that reel too. And that thing had a noisy motor, yep. I didn't properly edit that. I'm gonna stop this, but that whirl, whirl, whirl noise. Sound design, Tanishin, baby. So how does index search work? I will press index on the remote. This does not allow you to select individual index marks like 1, 2, 3, 4. It just scans through them all until you turn it off. It does not have an index mark or erase function either. It just does it when you hit record. See, it did that all by itself because I didn't cancel it. It's so weird it would have indexing, but not a linear time counter, even though it's a quick load system. Keeps it fully intact. I gotta go through this. I gotta get to the part I want to show. You can hear the head drum. Is it showing up? Oh, no.
57, 58, 59.
If you kind of see it says 03, that's that, but that thing did not do well in low light.
12 o'clock.
Hear the head drum.
January 1st. I give up. A bunch of noise going out the neighbors. Goodbye.
That is that sound design stereo, the one I destroyed in that one video.
And get $5 toward your
NES games. There's the Emerson. There's my Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo. This is January 1994. Back when that thing used to be white. And I still have the original AV cables that go with the NES. There's the 1990 Sears, watching that terrible version, Mario 3. That was just terrible. I still have all the tapes for that too. Panasonic pencil sharpener, that's in the closet. That waste bin's right over to the right of me. That clock is in the closet right here. I need to hang it on the wall in here. It's a blue color. And ceiling fan. But yeah, I was just trying to show you, hey, there's the 1990 Sears in 1994. I had that couch up until recently. It just got too worn out. I mean, it was in bad shape when I got rid of it. So I donated it, actually. Let's see, I had the really long phone cord on. But there's that GE phone. Sweet. You know what's funny about this? The battery that's... Now there were two remotes, the Emerson and that... Oh, watch this. The closet's open. Okay, there's my Sony Super Beta SL100 on my Nintendo chest in the other room. Hoover Convertible Service Merchandise Edition. While I don't have the same one, I can show you I have one of it. So, this is that vacuum I was showing right here. This is a mint one, never used, came out of the Hoover Vault. That's the tag off it. It's serial number 9. Not 1009. That one means something else, but it's number 9 off the assembly line, or number 8. 9th of April, 1986. Sample. Hoover convertible, and instead of writing service merchandise, they wrote service merchandising on it. Yeah, this was a service merchandise only vacuum here, and I have memories with that. That was back when they got a Hoover Elite, and I wanted that one. But naturally, I got yelled at for that eventually, and I had to throw the vacuum out before we moved. Oh, that Bart Simpson thing, that's right here. It's amazing just to do this and say, hey, I mean, I kept most of my stuff, and it's all in great shape. That's my obsession. I've had this obsession with doing that. But I think we had enough of this for now. So to conclude this video, I'm going to play a DVD on it. Now, like, when DVDs came out, this TV would have been 7 years old. But that's when DVD players were very, very expensive, like several $100s. Now you can get a DVD player for $30. But we all know how that goes. But as much as I use in here, it should last a while, hopefully. Probably caps will go bad if I don't keep it unplugged. Who knows? But for one last piece of nostalgia here is the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I do have, even though it was part of the even though it was part of that Zenith, which I think was part from 1985, I have memories with this on the Sony Super Beta SL100. And very briefly on this TV before Tailspin came along, because I ended up erasing the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I recorded on that to record this Tailspin on my Beta.
Plumber's log number 437. We arrived in the dry and deadly desert on a lumpy camel.
Deek.
We were in search of the legendary Aladdin's lamp. Princess Toadstool needed its magic to free her.
Don't want to show too much because I'll probably get hit with the copyright.
Mamma mia!
I also bought the there we go. I also bought the Legend of Zelda thing, even though I never watched that back in the day. That used to be on every Friday, if you remember that. So yeah, just a very quick thing with the DVD player. That should wrap this up. Turn off, listen to how it sounds. That's how it always shut off. And let's see, I'll just take the disc out of the DVD. So there's a tour of my very first TV with my very first VHS VCR. Sometime soon I'll get to the Beta, the SL100 Super Beta, and its memories and all that stuff. I used to have a, there used to be a picture of me when I was 3, maybe 4, 3.5 years old in front of that 82 Sears with that Beta in the background. So, thanks for watching.
Special shout out and thanks to Liz, our star patron.
These are not, the